Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Mr. Speaker, in question time today, just a moment ago, I asked the Acting Attorney-General if the terms of reference of our intelligence review would be amended to reflect the views of other legislatures which are moving to protect civil liberties. This included the US Congress, which yesterday passed a Freedom Act to end mass collection of metadata. The Minister was not especially forthcoming in her reply. She stressed the adequacy of the terms of reference and then confessed that she basically lacked the ministerial competence to comment further on the question having been passed to her by the Prime Minister. So let's analyse the issues that were passed over so lightly by the Acting Minister. The terms of reference contain two general tasks. First, to determine whether the legislative frameworks of the intelligence agencies are well placed to protect New Zealand's national security arrangements while protecting human rights. Second, whether there are sufficient safeguards to ensure the agencies act lawfully and maintain public confidence. Well, Mr. Speaker, if we are talking about public confidence, it is time New Zealand emulated the United States in restoring the principles of civil liberties laid down by Jefferson and cherished in the United States and presumably here as well. There is a distinction between the general review requirement that is in the statute and the precise terms of reference that the Attorney-General has crafted. The statute foresees a review of any matter relevant to the functions, effectiveness and efficiency of the agencies and their contribution to national security. But the terms of reference are more focused. They are whether the legislative frameworks are well placed to protect national security while protecting human rights. It may be a coincidence, Mr. Speaker, and it is good to have human rights included. But what we have here is national security as the primary value and central framework, with human rights as a secondary value, something to be protected from the onslaught. A specific task identified in the terms of reference is whether the recent foreign terrorist fighters legislation should be extended or modified beyond March 2017. This is an issue of some moment. Just last Friday, the Security Council adopted its latest presidential statement on FTFs. The overriding concern that foreign fighters have increased in numbers from 25,000 to 25,000 from 100 countries. Receiving one back into one's own country is proving too dyspeptic for Australia, but New Zealand at least is maintaining for the moment a level head on the matter. The Attorney-General's statement to the Council had many good elements, and in particular the stress he placed on countering violent extremism through supporting individuals and communities in having a positive stake in society. The key, he said, is to be inclusive, not exclusive, to integrate, not marginalise. We agree and commend him for this. But that approach needs to be buttressed with legislative reform on mass surveillance. It needs to lead with the principle of human rights and make national security compatible with the inalienable rights of the individual. That Jeffersonian principle has just been rediscovered in the United States in the past few days, following the loss of their constitutional compass 14 years ago. Sanity, at last, is being restored. The US Freedom Act, replacing the notorious Patriot Act, limits the federal government's ability to collect phone data. It requires the FBI to formally declare a statement of facts showing reasonable grounds to believe the information sought is relevant to a particular investigation, and that the facts give rise to a reasonable, articulable suspicion of activities associated with a foreign power or its agent. Under its terms of reference in New Zealand, the review will also have regard to, in the United States, the review will also have regard to any additional matters that arise during the review as agreed by the Attorney-General. We therefore recommend that the Attorney-General notify now, in writing, in the New Zealand Gazette, that the modification of intrusive surveillance powers and restoration of civil liberties as legislated in the United States, be taken up as a matter that has arisen and that New Zealand consider emulating the US initiative?
The Honourable Pesata Sam Lotawinga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, it's a pleasure to speak on this, the general debate.